I guess we're not having that football music special then?
Let's go practice medicine.
That was Surgeon Simulator, the theme Ambulance by Black Heron. And I am Kevin. Welcome to another episode of Radio Redux. Radio Redux 225, yes, we are back. It's been a little while since we appeared here. There's been lots of LMC casts, which I hope you've been enjoying, in the usual Radio Redux /LMC time slot. But yes, it's been a busy couple of months for me, which is why I've not really been about so much, and we'll get into those later. But as you may have gathered, we are having a medical themed Radio Redux this time around, mainly because it's not something that you really sort of go into much, but there's quite a lot of medical hospital games out there, and why not, especially when yours truly has been dealing with a lot of medical related stuff at the minute. But yes, unfortunately, there was a coin toss. It was whether or not we were going to have a Radio Redux focusing on football game music or Radio Redux focusing on health music, and owing to circumstances beyond our control, it's going to be this. But yes, hello, I hope you are well. I hope you are doing well. And I hope you are also safe wherever you are. At the time of recording, there's horrible stuff going on across Europe, really. We've got very severe floods in both Germany and Belgium, and if you're there, I very much hope you are okay. Whilst the rest of the UK specifically, we have a freaking heat wave going on in comparison. It is hot. It is hot. It is bloody sweltering, guys. So I'm recording this like really early in the morning, mainly because I suspect that at some point the office is going to become completely unusable. It's good. There's also a lot of game news to go through, as I understand it. So that's going to be fun to address at some point, because I've been away for a while. And why has that been? Well, I'm very glad it's July, is what I'm going to say. It's because June was an absolutely fun time. First things first, I say that the office, it is not the usual office. It is the new office. Welcome to a Radio Redux broadcast to you from the new LMC. It's my office. It's a great excuse to have a space where I can do remote working. But it is the place I do my sort of streaming stuff and recording stuff. It will be my workspace too. It is my merch den. It is everything. It needs a lot of work still. That is true, mainly due to the fact that it's difficult to get furniture from IKEA at the minute, which I kind of need. I need desks. I need workspace. My kingdom for a desk that does like an L shape and is actually affordable. That'd be good. But this is all come about for the fact that I have moved house, or rather, it's a long-winded story, but needless to say that Doublecross's parents moved out of their house. Doublecross stayed in the house, and then I moved into the house. So I now have a house. This office was Doublecross's bedroom. She's sleeping elsewhere now. I can't think where. And there's we had to move house. We had to go from the flat to here. All sorts of things to try and work out, like how the heck I'm supposed to get into work now from where I am. That's an interesting thing. That's number one. There's a lawn now. There's a garden out the back. I'd had to buy a lawnmower. This is adulting I didn't really think I would have to do at the start of the year, as I lived in my first floor flat. One of the things I really didn't expect to have to go and was spend 200 quid on a bloody lawnmower. So there's that. There's boxes literally everywhere. As far as I'm aware, I'm not missing anything. I don't think about. I say I'm not missing anything of significance. There's 3 things I know that are missing, and they are all CDs. And that is Mortal Kombat soundtrack, Mortal Kombat Annihilation soundtrack, and the best of Sonic the Hedgehog. As for the other stuff, I don't think we're missing anything. Still kind of annoyed with missing those, though, frankly. Especially the Mortal Kombat soundtracks. To be honest, the best of Sonic can sort of like go, yeah, whatever. It's been a time, and that was just because moving house is like one of the most stressful things you can do. And so what I really didn't need was to become very, very, very seriously ill at the beginning of the month. And guess what? That happened in very spectacular fashion. But before we get on to that, and oh boy, that's fun, we're going to get on with some more music. So as I say, and all of these tracks are related to hospital games or medical games or games to do with doctors or nurses in some form or fashion. And I think, yes, let's get the obvious out of the way. No, we're not talking about Dr. Wily, we're talking medical stuff. But there is one doctor that we all know in the video game world. He deals with fevers and chills quite a lot. And he has a very fine moustache, a very marketable moustache, if you will. This game, however, is not from this traditional Dr. Mario series. It is Dr. Mario, and it is the Fever. It is the Fever music. However, it is from the game Dr. Mario vs. Germbuster, and this is the Germbuster version of Fever from Dr. Mario. So, Dr. Mario vs. Germbuster, Fever, Germbuster version. And that's coming up next. After which, there's a track which I know, Radio Sega people, you will recognise. Or at least, you'll be familiar with the game.
on iTunes, Spotify, and Radio Sega. You're listening to Radio Redux.
There we go. What we had there was from 2 Point Hospital, of course. That's going to be, the one that you guys would expect, I would imagine, on Radio Sega, for those of you who are listening to this as it goes out. For those of you listening to this from any of the other usual sources, like iTunes or Spotify or anything like that, thank you very much indeed. If you're not subscribed to Radio Redux, why don't you head over to the likes of the Apple Store or Google or what have you, and please drop us a 5-star on there. It would be lovely to see something new, especially on the iTunes one. Go over there and say how wonderful Radio Redux is. Please do. It would really help us out in the long run. And if things start going better for the show, I might start recording more of them. You never know. But yes, that was the track Water Wednesdays from 2 Point Hospital, and before that, of course, we had the Dr. Mario versus Germbuster. Yes, Dr. Mario, the finest doc by far, according to that. Up next, we have a pinball track, believe it or not. I'm just going to have the single track up next, but it's a pinball track. And there is a doctor. There is a doctor involved. It's from a Bally pinball machine. The track itself is called Magnetic Personality, but what you have is okay, this game is so tricky. 90s. It's called Dr. Dude and His Excellent Ray, and what you have is a nerdy guy who's turned into a 90s style hunk / dude, I guess, from the name, and turns people sexy with his ray gun, and that's a pinball machine. Don't look at me like that. I know you are at the screen or at your blooming iPod or what have you at the minute. Don't please look. I found this as I was searching for stuff. Technically, it is still medical, right? It's still medical technically. But hey, when was the last time we had a pinball track on here? And a pure pinball track at that, nothing to do with, anything else. When was the last time, not like a Sonic Spinball, like, or that saying that, when you listen to this, you'll think of Sonic Spinball. It definitely has that very specific pinball sound, pinball machine music sound. Something a little different. Enjoy. While it was playing, I actually did a little bit more research. I think it's actually downloadable content for Pinball FX free. But it says here on the Wikipedia page, the ultimate goal of the game is to become a cool super dude by visiting the Kinetic Clinic with the Excellent Ray as a treatment. To achieve this, the player has to first collect the ingredients of ultimate hipness to increase the dudeometer, the heart of rock and roll, a magnetic personality, and the gift of gab. If you hadn't guessed, this came out in November 1990, and it absolutely looks it. I recommend looking up. But is it the full name is actually Dr. Dooney's Excellent Ray, but it's Excellent Ray as in X-ray. So it's technically Dr. Dooney's Excellent X-ray, just to be really confusing on the matter. So back to why I've been sort of having a not so good time recently. Hospital. Hospital was a thing. Now, from somebody who actually works around the medical service in his professional capacity nowadays, that in itself is not unusual. What is unusual is having to call an ambulance for yourself. I was very, very, very unwell for a while, and this got worse and worse and worse, and I became seriously dehydrated, which is kind of one of the reasons I'm really worried about this heat wave at the minute, because at the minute I'm still kind of susceptible, I think, to becoming really badly dehydrated. I mean, there's enough fluid inside me, frankly, but I should be fine. But so I became very, very ill, and they sent the ambulance round, and then I was carted off in the ambulance to hospital. This was after a bit of back and forth as to whether or not I was actually fine. So I was carted off in the ambulance to hospital, and then they did nothing, and then I was sent home. And then, like, the next night, we carted off in an ambulance again. It was, I was in deep trouble, it turns out. What I actually had was, it was food poisoning, technically. I say technically. According to later people, it was a form of food poisoning, but with none of the food poisoning really symptoms. It's like I didn't throw up at all. It wasn't like my stomach, but I basically got a very, very severe infection in my stomach from this thing, which did a number on me. As you could probably imagine, I lost like a couple of stone over the period of like 4 or 5 days, which is a lot of weight, guys. I mean, sadly, it's not for me, but it's a lot of weight. And what you then ended up having was this. So if the infection was like, oh yeah, it'll. I'm just being given water for like days and days, and I was in hospital for about a week. So this wasn't a delicate thing. At which point it was it was beaten. This infection, it was beaten. Fantastic! It's going to work its way through the system. So it starts working its way through the system, and bloody hell did that hurt. And it was, you could pretty much track where this infection was in the system, because the pain was like moving like across as it was going through the intestines and everything. And then it sort of came to almost the end of its journey, and it went, hey, I actually quite like it here, I'm going to set up shop. So imagine like the interior of your colon, basically, getting rid of out the intestine, and this thing decided, actually, I do quite like it, I'm going to set up shop again. So I got a secondary infection, and this thing, we're not entirely sure what happened. So we're going on the basis of my observations, which bodes well. It's always nice when you have a better idea of what might be happening than, the people that are actually treating you. It's very reassuring. So this thing just sort of like went, aha, and spread out, for want of a better phrase, across like the top of the colon, the wall of the colon as well. And then that turned into like some kind of horrendous infected concrete, which would then not be shifted. And every time efforts were made to get rid of it, let's just say, it started pulling down all the rest of my internal organs. So I was literally, never mind shitting your brains out, I was trying to shit out most of my internals, because it was basically everything was being pulled down. Also, as it had passed through everything, it had ripped the crap out of all my stomach, my intestines, all the way down. It like flayed the fucking skin. It was really, really bad. So I'm just bleeding all like constantly. Stuff. I'm on, water and toast and barely anything, and the things are still bad. I'm absolutely exhausted. And yeah, that is based on a massive number on me. It would have been less damaging to try and digest and pass a garden rake. I think it really did just rip everything on my insides up. So unsurprisingly, June was pretty much a write-off in terms of everything. So having to do the house move was great fun, and I'm still kind of suffering from that stuff. I'm still not entirely well. My insides are still very tender, and there's something wrong. But when there's one thing wrong with you, it's fine. When there's an entire system gets completely damaged, it really does I'm not gonna say knock you for six, but it really does do you some something of a knockback in terms of what you can do and activity and what have you. I'm still having to be very careful about how active I am, which is not helping matters, obviously, but I'm just going to have to be a little bit careful for a while until I'm properly healed, and I have no idea when that is, because I was given 5 days worth of pills, I think, for this thing. Once we discovered it was like this, that's the thing. It's a very run of the mill infection, it turns out, but everything that it did was totally off the books, totally not what it actually does. All the secondary stuff, all the unexpected reactions to things was very much not in the playbook, and I may still have to actually go and talk to medical people about that, because I'm a case study at some point. Yay, I'd rather be a medical case and be made better, but for science, I guess, you monster. So now you know why we're getting all this medical music. And speaking of medical music, now that I've regaled you with tales of tales of blood, my colon, and everything, we're gonna go into some more classic video game music relating to the medical profession. And I can tell you right now, the next two ones are indeed classics. The first one you'll probably guess. The second one you've probably forgotten about. And first up there we had Theme Hospital. Of course we had to have Theme Hospital in this. Russell Shaw's soundtrack to Theme Hospital, and that was Night Shift. After which we had Hospital Tycoon. And, these tracks don't actually have names because they're one of those ones that didn't have like official... It's not official soundtrack at all, so it's just the file name. So this is known as Sub A, if you look online. But Theme Hospital and Hospital Tycoon, of course we had to have both. On to some gaming news now, and there's been a lot that's been happening during the time I've been away. But let's concentrate on a few things first. Firstly, Sonic Origins, that... all those ports of the original Sonic games that we totally needed another version of. Apparently they're gonna run like properly and natively, and it's not gonna be any kind of emulation at all. They're just gonna run as games. They aren't gonna be like forced into things. Unlike those previous times on the Game Boy Advance and the DS, forgetting of course that in both those cases, they were trying to force all those games onto a singular cart and a singular... a singular cartridge for both of them. I should hope so. I mean, there was a lot of tricks that had to be done in order to get a Sonic Classic Collection, which is obviously what they're talking about in terms of the DS. There was so many tricks and shortcuts and bending of rules in order to actually get those 3 games or 3.5 games or 4 games. I don't know what it was, but to get them all on the DS cart was a work of I'm not going to say genius. But it was a work that deserved more praise at the time, because what they were essentially asked was, "Hey, here's a house. Could you please fit it into a caravan?" And somehow they did. And yeah, I know it's not the best example out there. And least said about Sonic the Hedgehog Genesis, aka Sonic the Hedgehog on the GBA, the better. That port that was so awful, even Sega Europe wanted nothing to do with it. So it only came out in America because they looked at it and went, "This is crap, let's not put it on the market." It's good to know that it's going to come out. It's going to come out natively. Do we need it when it's like available in 8 million other formats at this point? No, we don't. But Daddy Sega Bucks needs some more money for when he goes down the dog track of an evening. It's so weird. You put it out on everything, make it effectively worthless as a game, then put out a compilation of stuff and think that people are gonna buy it. Dude, you've been literally selling this thing for like £1.90 as a maximum price or whatever it is for so long. So you can... I know coasters, drinks coasters that are rarer than Sonic the Hedgehog. And people turn around and wonder, how come Nintendo is able to charge so much? Charge so much for... Nintendo is able to charge an awful lot of money for the original Mario Bros. I wonder why this is. Maybe because I don't shove it out on every single platform. Oh, it is worthless. Every Mega Drive game is effectively worthless at this point. And someone has to turn around at some point to say and go, our history, our back catalogue that we've relied upon to drag us through the 2010s, and also every other decade, Sega turn around and just go, just rely on our back catalogues to just drag us through the decade to survive. If it happens again, I don't think they'll be able to do it. Short of going, oh look, here's all Saturn stuff that you've never had before. since the first time, or what have you, or redoing the sort of Dreamcast, GameCube era games and sort of rebooting them or HDing them. Your stuff's worth shit, lads. I'm sorry. How many copies of Sonic the Hedgehog do you own? If you're listening in the Radio Sega chat, just think about this. How many copies of Sonic the Hedgehog 1 do you own? I'm guessing it's probably a lot. Up next, we've got a trio of musical tracks for you. The first of which is a play from a PlayStation game you will have never heard of, probably, which came out in 1999, called Click Medic. The wiki I'm currently looking at for it suggests it is, and it's actually by Game Freak, incidentally. Click Medic is essentially, it says, Pokemon, Fantastic Voyage, and Trauma Center thrown together into a blender. And from what I've seen, yes, that's pretty much exactly what it is. Imagine if the film Inner Space was a Japanese video game with some possibly like RPG type tendencies. And yeah, you kind of got it. So we've got the opening for that. Then in a slightly different medical section, we've got Spaced Out, a track from the game Viscera Cleanup Unit. Clearly things have gone quite wrong if you've ended up in that game. And the other one is, okay, this is a bit of a cheat. It's a bit of a cheat, but it's some nice music, so I thought we'd go ahead and do it. I mean, it's a Doctor, but it is Dr. Kirishima's brain training for Nintendo Switch and the background music for the home / Act 1/2. It's really nice music. We'll go back to other stuff later. Afterwards, something about a new Game Gear.
For 15 years, bringing you the best in video game music. This is Radio Redux.
Those tracks once again, the opening to Click Medic, Viscera Cleanup Units, and the track was called Spaced Out. And then Dr. Kawashima's Brain Training for Nintendo Switch, the background home music, Act 1 and 2. Okay, let's get on to things. So the Steam Deck. This came out of pretty much nowhere and comes from Valve and their great history of putting out successful video game hardware. Which normally comes with great technological advances, which would be great any other places, but no bugger actually buys the things, or they get no support, and it all kind of falls on its face. Please see the Knuckles controllers, by the way, that they did for VR, which are extraordinary. Absolutely wonderful. Anyway, onto this thing, which is totally not a mix of the Game Gear and the Nintendo Switch. No, and they weren't influenced by the Nintendo Switch at all. No sirree, Bob. And Bob is our lawyer from the Copyrights and Patents Division. Isn't that right, Bob?
Yeah, that's right.
Cheers, Bob. Anyway, so we've got... What have we got with this thing? Which is... It is exactly what everyone's been saying. It looks like it's the... It's the son of a Game Gear and I'm not saying it's like a Game Gear and Switch combo. I would put some Atari Lynx in there, my friend. It's a Game Gear and a Switch. Oh yeah, but you know the Switch was having an extramarital affair on the side with a Lynx. Anyway, this is the offspring, and its entire education is being paid for by Gabe Newell, apparently. So we've got, I've got it. It looks all right. It looks all right, with the exception of, you know, the thumbsticks at the very top and the deep, everything being at the very top. I'm not sure what I feel about that, if I'm honest with you. We've got a 7-inch touchscreen, dual mics. There's a mic on the left and a mic on the right, just in case, you know, you're left or right tongued. But all the buttons are more on the top. I don't know, because when it's you know, all together, I actually don't find the Switch very comfortable to use. Now, admittedly, I don't use my Switch all that much, but I don't like it that much. So now we've got this situation with this. So we've got 65 gigabytes of storage. It's a PC. You could use it. It's got haptics, A, B, X, Y buttons, D-pad, left and right bumpers, left and right analog triggers, 6-axis. It's gyro in there. Bluetooth 5 support, dual band Wi-Fi radio, 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz. 45 watts of power. Got U8. Okay, USB-C display ports. It's got StreamOS 3 and desktop is KDE Plasma. It's got a dock. I like one of the things it says in there. Yes, it also has a dock, which you have to buy separately by look of things. At least based on the page I'm looking at. Well, anyway, Steam Deck is the most powerful, full-featured gaming handheld in the world. We partnered with AMD, create Steam Deck's custom APU optimized for handheld gaming. It is a Zen 2 plus RDNA 2 powerhouse, delivering more than enough performance to run the latest AAA games in a very efficient power envelope. That is not a sentence you say. Okay, guys? That is just not a sentence you say. Ever. You just don't. But yes, it looks good. Touchscreen, the trackpads, the gyro stuff looks quite good. I can see you kind of stuffing yourself up on that. Wireless, fast suspend, resume, and of course the big thing is that you can use your Steam library and what have you. However, the thing that really got me as an oh dear was like the third or fourth section down is like, expand your library with a micro SD card. I was like, oh, are we really still doing micro SD cards? Expand your library, lose everything you own with a micro SD card. Micro SD cards are great in that you put them in, right? But then at some point you will need to take it out, and the second you take out the micro SD card, it is gone. It is not there anymore. It is completely evaporated from the universe entire. I don't know how this is going to work. I'm willing to bet, like, use your deck as a PC because it is one. I'm willing to bet that is going to get ridiculously hot to a degree that it melts if you use it for like more than 3 hours. I like the idea that it plays nice with all the accessories, and it'll take a very long time to get. There'll be ones that people use that'll be fine. Oh, the official dock is indeed sold separately. Oh God! Add the deck to your wish list. I think it's going to be one of these ones that people will like. Remember that PlayStation TV or tablet or something, some sort of tablet-y thing that was people didn't realize was that good. And then after the fact, it was like, hey, this is like really good for like streaming and stuff. I think it's one of these things that after the fact, people will realise, hey, this is actually quite good. It's not the Vita. No one thought the Vita was good after it was done. Says Vita double cross chiming in from the next room. It was not the Vita. It never was the Vita, and it never shall be the Vita. Poor Vita. No, Vita had its chance. The Vita had its chance, and then Sony tried to market it, and then Sony. Anyway, we'll see what happens with it. Add it to your wish list. Let's have a look. What is it? It's £349 for the 64GB version. Or £459 if you'd like a 256GB version, or if you would like the 512GB version. That's £569, where you get faster storage, premium anti-glare etched glass. So I can only assume on the cheaper one, just like the sun's going to just reflect off it and just blind you at this point. Oh dear. Your Steam library anywhere? Yes. Control with comfort? Yes. It's like in principle it looks good, and then you find out it won't be able to play like a lot of the really popular games on PC like PUBG and Apex and things like that. But never mind that. Anyway, we can get into more things next week. We will also next week or the week after or whenever it is that I come back. But up next on Radio Sega, Nurse Rexy is going to be here for the last time, I believe, before she disappears off for her mid-season break. She's going to be here with a spoonful of sugar, and that sugar is some sweet, sweet remixes. You see what I did there? Anyway, we're going to leave you with one final track. And I'm going to do something which I don't think's ever been done on Radio Sega. And I can just hear them panicking now. And the fact that Rex is going to have to lead in from this is incredibly funny to me. So, we're going to play a piece of theme music called The Theme of Love from an Eero game. Yes, we're going to have music from an erotic game on Radio Sega. Because, it's not the music's fault what game it's in. I don't think I've ever even played any music on Radio Redux before. There might have been something from a Leisure Suit Larry game at one point, but I'm pretty sure this is the first Radio Sega. Listen as they all panic in the background. This is from the Japanese PC erotic game Miku Miku Nurse, which was released by the developer Psycho in 2003. It's called Miku Miku Nurse, The Theme of Love. There was like a meme attached to this for a while, and there was a whole heap of other stuff. I will tell you what the lyrics are. And I'm well aware that I'm going to overrun slightly on this one, but bear with me on this one. This is all the nice lead up to to Sega Mixer Drive. Anyway, so this is what the actual lyrics are. Yes, there's a meme. There was a meme involved in this, and it ended up on like a bunch of karaoke machines and dance machines way back when. Anyway, so here we go. Okay, bear with me on this one, guys, while I try and get this. Okay, so Miku Miku Nurse Loves theme. Hi everyone, how are you? Head first, let's then give it a shot. Yeah! 1, 2, 3, nurse! Anorexic, lack of sleep, palpitations, vertigo, and neuroasthenia. My heartbeat runs without an end. Headache, cramps, emotional instability. Even when it's not right, my tears come out. Throbbing, it might be lovesickness. When our fingers are touched, my breast aches. I want you to take down this pain with feel-good rehabilitation of love. I want you. Deprive me of my hot heart's fever right now. Come touch me, then kiss me in the important place. My heart, my body all belong only to you. I can't get to sleep. A painful impulse all night long. I miss you. Surely I'll be changed. I am a wonderful girl. My voice, my breath, my sight, even the way I feel is left up to you. Please love me. For 10 years, 100 years, 100 million light years. I love you. I love you so much. Miku Miku Nurse. Still, here we go again. Miku Miku Nurse, Miku Miku Nurse. Fresh wheat, fresh rice, Miku Miku Nurse. Miku Miku Nurse, Miku Miku Nurse. Frogs hop, skip, Miku Miku Nurse. Miku Miku Nurse, Miku Miku Nurse. Sexual violet, Miku Miku Nurse. Miku Miku Nurse, Miku Miku Nurse. Soul Train, Miku Miku Nurse. Miku Miku Nurse, Miku Miku Nurse. Anisan Rokaku, Miku Miku Nurse. Miku Miku Nurse, Miku Miku Nurse. Reach one shot, Miku Miku Nurse. And Miku Miku Nurse 8 times. Then one more time, here we go, Miku Miku Nurse. Anyway, that's it. That's all for Radio Redux this week. Enjoy that last song. And enjoy your holiday, Rexy. You got a lead in from this. Bye!